From the Key Centre Arena in Sydney, Australia and Japan. What a performance from Jade Melbourne. It's changed the game for Australia. And Japan have been forced into a lot of long-range shots. They're just not working for them tonight. And Australia takes game one. The Opals off to a great start.
Game two, Sunday afternoon. Whoa! Sequoia knocks down the three and becomes the leading scorer of the game. And a big fight back from Japan. Heel off the dribble. Wow. This time plays through the contact.
That's a tough play.
It breaks down. The layup missed by Miyazaki, but it doesn't matter. Japan hang on and win by one, and they square the series away at a game apiece.
The road to the FIBA Women's World Cup runs through beautiful Newcastle as Australia and Japan get set for the third and final chapter in their three-game warm-up series. Australia ranked third in the world. Japan, the silver medalists from last year's Olympics. Two evenly matched squads who put on a show in the opening two matches. And now it all comes down to this. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the series deciding Game 3. Jason Bennett alongside Australian coaching legend Laurie Chiswick. And Laurie, two entertaining games. Tonight it's all about the W.
Well, Jason, I watched game one and I watched game two, and I am really excited to be here calling this game, especially since they are level. There's been so much talk about looking at the young talent, giving them opportunities, seeing what those outcomes are and different strategies. But I tell you what, both teams, I think, will ultimately want to get the win in this game today. They play each other at the World Cup. They're in the same pool. And whilst they'll look different, I think they're going to want to win this series and take it out.
Opals by 6 points on Friday night. What was a really fast, free-flowing, furious kind of a game. Japan hanging on by a point in game two in what was a much more stagnant game. Both teams took until the second half, until their attacks got rolling. What are you expecting from game three?
Well, I think, I would hope that we'll see that intensity that we saw more in game one than we did in game two. And some much better shooting, I hope. But I think both teams will up it defensively, get up and in and full court pressure, and then offensively really look to push the ball, have lots of movement.
Joining us tonight courtside, Jenny Screen and Megan Huswaite. And Megan, exciting night for the Boomers. They welcome the newest member of their family.
Annalie Bailey becomes an Opal tonight, an incredible achievement for her in what's already been an amazing 2022. WNBL MVP, she made her WNBA debut with the Chicago Sky. Tonight she runs out in the number 10 that was worn famously and with distinction by one of your former teammates, Screeny, in Christy Harrower. You've been there and done that with the Opals, Screeny. What will Annalie be feeling tonight?
Well, there's nothing like wearing the green and gold for the first time, and to be able to do it on home soil is even more special. She'll be nervous, but she'll most certainly be excited. It's going to be really interesting to see how she goes. She is the WNBL MVP, but this is now international basketball. Go back to what she's good at, rebound, run the floor hard, do the little things, and make the decision for Sandy really difficult.
Looking forward to seeing what Annalie brings tonight. We know she's got speed, we know she's got hustle, we know she's an excellent rebounder. It's going to be interesting to see what impact she has on the series. Laurie, this Opal side, well, Cheryl Chambers told us it's the most wide open she can recall, so close to a major tournament. Plenty of spots still up for grabs. And, well, that's what they're playing for tonight, the chance to impress.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And if you look at that starting lineup, Tess Madgen, Kayla George, they've been really consistent in what they've brought. We can see Maddie Rotchi's given another opportunity to start in that point guard position. But there we see it, number 10, Annalie Bailey, ready to come off the bench. And as the lady said courtside, she will be nervous but very excited. 6
players from Japan's Olympic silver medal team featuring in this series under new coach Toru Onzuka, who took over post-Olympics. 5 debutantes, so they're a young group just like the Aussies, still finding their rhythm.
Well, they are, and they're also looking at their combinations, and we know that Toto in game one, played a massive role in the Japan game, so it'll be interesting to see how she and if she can fire up again tonight.
Well, the road to the FIBA Women's World Cup continues here on ESPN. It's the series deciding game 3. It's Australia and Japan from the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. Great to have you with us on ESPN and KO Sports. It's going to be Kayla George against Maki Takata, the two skippers. Opening tip goes Australia's way, and Garvin claims possession. Rocci to George. Back to Maddie Rocci. Inside to George, Takata marking for company, kicks it back out to Madgen, thinks about the give to Garvin, instead goes to Rochi. Shot clock down to 6. Madgen steps inside, gets to the line, back to Rochi, sets up for 3. Not quite. George slaps away. Australia get a second chance.
That was a lot of pressure on Maddie Rochi to get that shot away with 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
Rochi finds George, lovely finish. Nice touch from Kayla, Aussies on the board.
And that's something that the Aussies are going to want to do, the Opals are going to want to do a lot this game, is go inside, look at their bigs, take advantage of their height.
Early foul on Maddie Rochi there on Yuzuma Shiori. Yuzuma's been busy in the opening 2 games. She has it again here with Rochi for company.
She's really good at distributing the ball. She had 6 assists the first game, 5 assists the second game.
Okoye hot hand in game 2, and that continues in game 3.
You can't give her that time and space. She's going to look at that shot every single time.
Ball once again in the hands of Maddie Rochi. Running the show early for Australia. Nice give and go with Kayla George.
Great little give and go action. Maddie Rochi just scooping up that perfectly timed pass from Kayla.
Here's Azuma. Okoye. The Blitzarves guarding her off to Akaho. Now Takata. Yuzuma wants to step past George, can't do so. Feeds it inside to Takata. And she steps and travels. Again, good pressure from the Aussies. They held their defensive structure.
They did. That was really good rotation, recognizing that Maddie Rochi couldn't quite make that switch in time and had to stay with her, but good help came across.
It's going to be very interesting to see the Aussies and their ball movement tonight. Japan known for their full court pressure, Lauren. It has caused the Opals some problems through the opening first 2 matches.
Well, that's what the Japan team is known for, just getting up and pressuring it. And it's something that we have to handle. Our guards have to handle it. The team has to handle it.
Got to break it down before the World Cup. They'll be playing Japan at the World Cup in Sydney in September. Madgen, George, outside. Garvin sets her feet. George with the rebound. Australia dominated the glass through the opening 2 matches, as you'd expect, with the height advantage. Rochi, Garvin, Blitzarves from the corner. That won't go either. Madgen in over the top. Jump ball. And Tess Madgen, her hustle and scrap in this series has been critical.
What I really like what George is doing right now is that she's being a real presence inside. Whether she gets it or not, she's commanding the defense's attention, and so players are open up on the perimeter then.
Okoye, Yuzuma, Takata in the corner. Short. Toto, dominant in game 1, 27 points. Links up with Okoye. Feeds it back out to Carter. To the corner for Akaho. And she drains the 2. Japan hit the front. Rochi to George and now Blitzarves. George sets up baseline. Blitzarves spins, shoots. Just grazes the front of the rim. Toto to Yuzuma. Pressure from Rochi. Steps around George. Feeds Akaho. Lovely ball movement from Yuzuma Shiori.
Just lost vision of the player there, and a nice little backdoor cut. Easy basket.
George off to Madgen. She wants to draw some traffic. Rochi to Garvin. Back to Tess. Turns the corner on Okoye. Gets to good position. Feeds Garvin.
Great pass by Tess Madgen and finish by Darcy Garvin. And that's what you get when you start playing together a little bit more, that little bit of chemistry, knowing what each player can and wants to do.
Toto to Okoye. George almost tipped it in. Dishes it off to Blitzarves, who wasn't expecting it. No harm done. Rochi calms things down. George in everything early. Madgen tries to fight her way through Toto. Rochi. Garvin. Madgen wants to get past Okoye. Good footwork, lovely finish. Australia back in front.
That's the experience of Tess Madgen, just poise under pressure, being able to just really read the defense and what they gave her.
Yuzuma. Will she take on George? She flings it to Kaho. Gets past Garvin for the 2. 2 teams exchanging the lead early in this one, but both offenses looking a lot more functional than they did in game 2. Much better chemistry. Blitzarves just works her way through traffic and draws the foul, but good offensive signs for both these teams early, Laurie.
Absolutely. As I think was mentioned in commentary on Sunday afternoon, it was like there was glad wrap on the baskets. They just couldn't buy them, and we see here both teams look much more comfortable in what they're doing.
Let's head courtside. Megan Husway.
Annalie Maley onto the court for her first minutes in her Opals career. Meanwhile, Japan has subbed out their starting five. It will be fascinating to see what they do with their rotations tonight, given it is the third game. As Screeney told us in game 2, they've been training hard. We're back on court practicing after the 1-point win on Sunday.
Blitzarves makes the first. Jenny Annalie Maley. Japan almost sort of strike me as the perfect opponent for her with the way she plays, with that hustle, the speed and the ability to rebound, as we see there.
And that's just a prime example, ladies and gentlemen, of the hustle plays that led to Annalie Maley becoming the WNBL MVP for 2022. I'm really excited to see what she's going to do on the international level. We know what she's capable WNBL-wise, but international for the people watching at home is just that next level of intensity, physicality, IQ. Everything in the game is next level, and I'm really intrigued to see how Annalie adapts, and I think she's going to do really well tonight.
That was a heck of a start, wasn't it?
Well, I agree. I was just going to say the same thing. Can't get much more of a better start than that.
Yoshida for 3. Japan's three-point shooting hasn't been overly effective so far in the series. Here's Blitzarves. Again, Maley hustles her way through the lane. Rochi, George. Nicholson now works. Back to Maddie Rochi. Draws a double. Gives it off to Maley. Spins. Tries to get it to the outside. Blitzarves receives, puts up the 3. Maley in there to scrap once again, gets her hand on it. Enables George to Nicholson. Short once more, crashing the boards on this occasion, Blitzarves. Aussies get a third opportunity. George off to Rochi. Considered the 3. Kayla draws a foul.
That's excellent sign for the Opals, getting a couple of O-boards in that one possession and giving themselves the opportunity to try and get another shot up. And that's something that, you know, Japan, whether they're the starters or coming in off the bench, are going to have to block out.
So Shyla Hill steps into the game for Maddie Rochi. Beck Cole in as well. So Hill, Nicholson, George, Cole and Maley. And Annalie has it here. Off to Nicholson. Back to Annalie. Over the top to George. Tough one. Won't quite go. Nicholson again will keep it alive. Second chance points has been a strength for the Aussies in this series. Hill, Maley, Cole. Now George. Nicholson for 3. Wedges it.
That was really good scramble defense by the Japanese team. They were moving everywhere because the Opals were really moving the ball well, and they had to scramble to get a hand on that shooter.
So the Aussies by 3 with just over 4 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. Jenny Screen, your early thoughts?
Look, I'm loving the pace. The push in the first 8 seconds from both teams has been really good. They may not have got a look on a lot of those, as we see Shyla Hill with a nice little reverse layup there on the inbounds. But I'm also liking the poise at the end of the 24-second clock by both teams. Japan are back to their nice little cutting action off penetration, as you see right now on your screen as they drain a nice long 3. But right now the contest is good because the composure is great by both teams.
Miyazawa with the 3. George and Cole, miscommunication. Japanese ball. Jade Melbourne watching on with Tess Madgen. And again, Tess playing such a leadership role in this team. Laurie, she's really embraced it. And again, just talking to some of the youngsters about what they're seeing out there.
And what an ideal opportunity for the likes of Jade Melbourne to be able to, you know, be a sponge and with the likes of Kayla George and Tess Madgen, who are clearly right now the senior members of this team and the leaders.
Miyazawa being pressured by Maley. Wants to give it off to Miyazaki. Great hustle from the Aussies, but Japan will retain possession. Annalie just getting her hand in. Miyazaki receives back from Umezawa. Looks for an option. It's Miyazawa. Kicks it wide. Hiroshita. George shoved under it by Umezawa. She concedes the foul. So Cheryl Chambers coaching, the assistant coach, coaching this series in the absence of Sandy Brondello, who's in the US on WNBA duties, but has been very closely tuned into this program in the lead-up.
I'm sure there's been many discussions over the last week between Cheryl and Sandy and the other coaches just on what they want to do, how they want to do it, their thoughts on what, you know, after each game.
Maley goes to ground again. Heals the bailout. Cole. Heel. Long three. He's good. Shyla shot 2 for 3 from three-point range in game 1 and 3 for 6 in game 2. She makes her first here, and the Aussies out to a 5-point lead. Little runner doesn't go for Miyazaki. He's more of a facilitating point guard than a scoring guard. George, Nicholson, back to Kayla, baseline. She's made a living out of that.
Really good ball movement by the Opals, just knowing what each other are doing. That little pick and pop, Kayla just loves that shot, recognition, good pass to her. Nice quick shot, nice finish.
So the Aussies up by 7 with 2:44 left in the opening quarter. And Jenny, the Australian offense, in fact, both offenses, but particularly if we look at the Opals, looking a lot more functional than they did in game 2.
Well, that's obviously going to happen naturally because they're on to their third game now. I'm loving Shyla Heal's input in this game so far. She's been great in the first quarter. I'd love to see her play in the 2 a little bit more this game, just to see, give Sandy a little bit more insight. Can we select her as a 2? We know how great a shooter she can be. And then Annalie Maley, she started and come in as the 4 spot. I'd love to see her go front to bucket, play in the 3, because we know internationally she lacks the size. So can we potentially put her in the 3 spot and have her there in our selection processes? So obviously Cheryl Chambers has things to play with this game to allow Sandy to have a look at different opportunities or players in various positions, guys.
I think that's a good point that Screeney makes, is that we can be really versatile. We saw in game 2 that Sarah Blitzhoff's played a lot in the 4 as well, but you know, when Garbin's in there with Kayla George, then she can go to the 3 spot. So that versatility is super important depending on the type of team that you're playing.
So the Aussies 7 for 10 from the field, Japan 3 for 4. Australia dominating the glass, 10 rebounds to 3. 2 to George, 2 to Blitzarves on the offensive glass. Kayla with 5 in total.
Good to see some extended pressure by the Opals.
Yazuma, Maley gets a hand in.
That's what you want to be. Anytime you can just, you know, even though that's not a steal, it makes it disruptive. Now they've got to reset up and, you know, time's off the clock.
And I'll quickly get a sense that when Annalie's around, she's just got extraordinary range to get a hand in, get a hand up, get to a ball she looks to be out of position for. Speaking of out of position, Yazuma looked to be. Stepped through and finished nicely. Heel to Maley. Nicholson. Pressure comes from Takanahashi. Lauren Scherf into the game, works with Cole. Wants to go herself on Okoye. Tough finish, won't go. Off Monica's hands, but Yazuma keeps it alive. Akaho. Okoye. Turning the corner, Takanahashi. Off to Okoye, nice finish.
That was a bit too easy for our Opals defense. That was just a nice little bounce pass finish.
Heel again, links with Maley. Screen from Nicholson. Maley tries to turn inside Akaho, can't do so. Works her way to the hoop and finishes nevertheless.
It's great when you see a player that's stopped but can still find a way to score.
No panic there from Annalie Maley, always looking for that next option to keep it alive. Okoye off to Yazuma. Here's Noguchi. Takanahashi puts up a 3 that rattles out. Japanese ball. And back into the hands of Yazuma Shiori. Akaho. Okoye on the inside, had the mismatch against Nicholson, but lost the handle. Monica Okoye Didn't score in game one, just took the 3 shots. In game two, she exploded. 20 points, 7 of 9 shooting, including 3 from 5 from long range.
She was very influential in game two, and her defense, too, was very strong.
Meili, the long ball in. Japan forced the turnover. And Akaho, the beneficiary, has got some space, goes to Noguchi. She gets to good position but can't finish. And Scherf off to Cole. Again, the double team. Scherf feeds it through to Heel. Japan ratcheting up the full court pressure. Nicholson steps through. Meili in good position for the finish. The Opals work their way through. Quick play from Japan. And foul call.
That's the thing with this Japanese team. You can't, you know, on any score, on any rebound, you have to get back. Your D-trans has to be spot on because they are looking to push the ball at every opportunity and to attack the rim.
Todo Nanako, 21-year-old, plays for the Sunshine Rabbits. 27 points in the opening game. She was outstanding. 5 points in game two. She cuts the margin to 5 with 43 seconds left in the opening term. Heel again will be pressured. To Meili. Back to Shyla. She's got Cole in the corner. Heads there now. Inside ball. Scherf tosses it away. Cut off by Noguchi. Chance here for Akaho. They'll want to push the speed. Now she bails out. Noguchi. And Uzuma says, let's settle down and run a set here because there's only a 2-second differential between shot and game clock.
I'm sure they'll try and take the last shot to not give the Opals any chance for a end of quarter shot.
Uzuma to the corner. Noguchi to Carter. Slaps it out and ends up with Akaho. 1 second left. Won't go. And quarter time. It's the Aussies by 5 points. They led game one by 6 at the first change. They led game two by 8 at the first change. They lead game three by 5 at the first change. It's Australia 23, Japan 18. Series deciding game three, quarter time at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. Australia 23, Japan 18. The Aussies by 5 points. Laurie Chiswick, what'd you make of the first term?
Well, I thought both teams took care of the ball very well and really looked to push the tempo at both ends of the court. Really tried to explore the shot clock and then defensively up and in both teams. It's a high-quality first quarter.
Koya to Miyazaki. Japan have fought back well in both second quarters of the series, having trailed at quarter time in both games. Same situation tonight. Cole blocked by Okoya. Akaho off to Miyazaki. Takada. Yoshida. And Heel gets the board. Both teams shooting at a decent clip in the opening quarter. Scherf flings it to the corner for Cole. Back out to Hill. Shot clock to single digits. Schuyler thinks about taking on Makata. Steps back. Rattles out. Akaho, quick ball. Takata open. Gets in behind the Aussie defence and scores.
Yeah, that's tough. Takata just straight to the rim. Great rim run by her and fine by her teammate.
Scherf off to Hill. Cole. Blitzarves to Magin. Pressure from Yoshida. Shot clock down to 6, and Blitzarves can't control it. So margin back to 3 points as Jade Melbourne checks into the game. Jenny Screen, your thoughts on the opening term?
Well, I thought it was pretty exciting, to be honest, with this great crowd that we have here at Newcastle. Someone that came off the bench, Annalee Maley, making her debut, was pretty composed, ladies and gentlemen, for 7 points to lead all scorers in that opening quarter. The bonus for both teams actually was the shooting percentage. Australia 52%, Japan 46%, which is huge ups on the first quarter of last game, ladies and gentlemen, where they shot 11% and 21% respectively. So that's something that was really exciting from game 2, that we see the adjustment. And finally, for me, in first quarter, was the ball movement. I think it was absolutely exceptional, both teams having 7 assists apiece.
Aussies by 3 points early in this second term. Miyazaki off to Okoye. Japan have had their moments in this series where they've grabbed the momentum and controlled the game. Takata levels it up. Had a similar story in all 3 games. Aussies lead early, Japan fight their way back. They've then managed to punch on in the second half and get themselves in a winning positions. Blitzarves under pressure. Ball spills free. Miyazaki lets it run out. It'll be a Japanese ball.
It's just too many times, and this will be something that they'll need to address, but where our ball handlers have gone into that corner and just, it's the ideal trapping situation, and we can see the outcome of that in that turnover right there. It's a hard place to get out of, and we have to keep the ball away from the edges, try and get the ball down the middle or kick it ahead, but certainly a press breaker, that's something that they're going to be working on.
So the team's locked up at 23 apiece, 8 minutes left in the second term. Cheryl Chambers addresses the Opals. And let's have a listen.
Get that ball. Come and outlet it for us here, okay? Now, defensively, we're going to go back to switching. So it's either a black or a blue for the rest of them, okay? We're going back to those rules again, yep? So we're just reverting back to our old rules here, okay? Let's not lose the momentum here. We go two down next play. Here we go. Opals on 3, 1, 2, 3. Opals!
Megan Huswaite, game 3 rolling into Newcastle. A great opportunity for a regional to see a match like this. What's the vibe been like?
The vibe is incredible here at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. Plenty of royalty in the house as well, not just our own Jenny Screen, who is a proud Newcastle product, but we know the incredible female basketballers that this city has produced. Susie Batkovic, Katie Ray Ebsbury, Dr. Adrian Hurley is in the house tonight, and I'm sure he's liking what he's seeing from the Opals in this first half.
Great to have Megan and Jenny with us courtside. Yoshida. Here's Takata, so dangerous, wide open and punishes.
Well, she just shot the last 3 from the exact same spot. You've got to recognize that she's got a hot hand right now. You have to make sure that if you're guarding her, defending her, you can't leave her that wide open.
Rochi off to Magin, back to Maddie. Inside to Kayla. Takata for company, off the rim. Makes its way to Blitzarve, steps through. Kayla from the lane. Aussies needed that one. Miyazaki. Takata, such a leader on this team. What a player she is. Yoshida. Miyazawa. There's Miyazaki again. Again, Takata looking to set up. This time she does step inside. Kicks it out. And Miyazaki goes herself.
They have a hot hand right now.
So now the pressure on the Opals. As we mentioned, Japan have had extended periods of control in this series. Australia need to limit the damage and stabilise the situation. Foul on Rochi, who is being held. Chance for the Aussies to just regroup a little here.
And that's the beauty of these games and the difference in them, in that there has been momentum swings in all the games. And so to be able to respond, both teams, you know, Japan, Aussies have had some real momentum, and then they've responded. And equally the Opals, they need to be in these situations and learn from them and get better from them.
So critical in big tournaments. Best players in the world. Teams are generally not going to dominate for all 4 quarters. You need to find ways to get back on top and at least firstly stabilise the situation, then get back in control as Rochi off to Blitzarves. Big basket for Australia, back to a 1-point margin.
I have to say, Sarah has come up with some big baskets throughout this series. She's been really consistent in what she does, and I think she's been rock solid in what she's brought at both ends of the court. 9
points in game 1, 16 and 12 boards in game 2. And Jenny Screen, an important 90 seconds there for the Aussies. Japan were just putting the foot down.
They were indeed. It was just as good to see that the girls got their composure. You know, obviously Japan started the quarter great with 8 points to start, and the girls just finding their feet again. Obviously rotations are coming thick and fast, and they've got to get used to playing with all different players in this series as they're all trying to fight for selections. But we know Japan have stepped it up a notch defensively tonight, so nice to see the girls aren't getting rattled by that too much.
Akaho with the 2 to give Japan a 3-point lead. Kayla, a little miscommunication there with Maddie Rochi. So 6 turnovers to 2. Australia have conceded on 6 occasions, Laurie. That would be a concern, ball protection, in a game that could go down to the wire.
Well, it's something that, you know, the first game, I think they had 19 turnovers. They cut it back a little bit the second game to 16, but it's just something when you play these high-quality teams, often a turnover results in a basket for the other team straight away.
Imagine links up with Blitzarves, gets it back, gets to the stripe, working on Miyazawa, back out to Blitzarves, and now Rochi. Tess gets to the hoop, can she finish? She's fouled. Foul on Miyazawa Yuki.
I like the fact that Tess, you know, on that closeout, she punched it in, and you can see her eyes up on the target the whole way, and made that contact count, and now we see her at the foul line. And that's something I think we need to continue to do, is put pressure on the rim, get ourselves to the foul line.
72% career free throw shooter in the WNBL, 81% in the season just past. She and Kayla George leading the Melbourne Boomers to a championship. This is the second. Blitzarves almost the rebound. It'll be an Australian ball.
That's another area, and I think Screeny talked about it in both the coverages, is our free throw shooting. We have to be able to be, you know, at this level, you should be probably 80% and above.
George to Rochi. Jade Melbourne in the game. Here's Blitzarves for 3. Japanese ball. So halfway through the second term of the series deciding game 3. And it's Japan by 2 points as Toro Onzuka watches on. Took over the Japanese head coaching role after their Olympic silver medal last year. Akaho. Toto back to Akaho, working on Rochi. Short and Blitzarves. Calls for Tess to come at her. She doesn't, so she brings it back inside to Rochi. George wants to lay the screen. Imagine in the corner. Back to Blitzarves. Wants some movement, gets it from George. Tough finish. Chance for Melbourne to tidy it up. Another tough finish, and Jade makes it.
That's just about finding a way to score in a broken play.
Scores level. Miyazawa off to Toto. Hiroshita. Inside to Miyazawa. Fade away is good. Rochi to George. Off to Magin. Blitzarves, quick ball movement. Melbourne wants to put it on the floor. George from the stripe.
Really great recognition by Kayla George to just cut high to that, just below the free throw area, wide open for a shot. Really smart.
And the Aussies have locked it up again at 33 apiece. Okoye spins on Rochi. Tough finish, still there. Monica gets it back. And kicks it out. Toto is good. Margin back out to 3 for the Japanese.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with both teams' ball movement and the way they're getting that extra pass, finding that extra player, and really making the defense have to scramble, both teams.
Good heads-up play there from Blitzarves. The pass from Melbourne just floated on her, so she didn't try to take possession, just tapped it on. George, Madgen, 4 seconds left. Melbourne steps inside, gets to a shooting position and makes it. Beautiful finish, Jade Melbourne. Toto with speed, the quick response. Misses, Okoye, and the foul on Jade Melbourne.
That was such a great finish by Jade Melbourne with the shot clock going right down and the aggression and the determination that she drove that in to finish was really nice to see.
Let's head courtside, Meeks.
Well, she's becoming the new poster girl for the Opals, isn't she? Jade Melbourne, she's a fan favourite. Great to see the Opals getting out into the community, doing clinics and school visits in Sydney and then Newcastle. And there's no doubt that Jade's been a favourite amongst the kids and the next generation of Aussie hoopers.
And Jenny, the hustle and the effort plays that you get out of the likes of Jade Melbourne and Annalyn Maley just provide an extra dimension to the Opals, don't they?
Well, it does indeed, and I think it's also at the core of the identity of what the Opals have been for a very long time, is this hustle, blue-collar work. Yes, you've got your superstars, but right now this Opals team, as we've talked about this whole series, they're trying to re-identify themselves. No Liz Cambage, Jenna O'Hayes retired. They're, you know, the young stocks coming in. Who are the Opals now? What are they going to be? Kayla Francis talked about defense. They wanted to establish themselves as being feared around the world defensively, and they've showed glimpses of getting better at that this tournament, or this series rather, which is exciting to see. So plenty more to see, but when you've got the youngsters doing what they're doing, and then think about Christy Wallace, who's doing a great job with Atlanta in the WNBA, I'd get excited wanting to watch the Opals play.
Big rejection there from Akaho. Toto off to Okoye. Nice board there from Umezawa. Rochi, active hands. Can she finish one-on-one with Toto? Draws the foul.
That was a nice fend-off by Maddie Rochi there to draw that foul and go up strongly, and now finds herself at the foul line.
80% career free throw shooter, 78% in the season just passed. So an opportunity here for Maddie to reduce the margin back to a single point as we close in on halftime. Such a high arc on her free throws. First one rattles out. Margin back to 2. Yazuma, quick movement again. Sizzling pass to Carter. Noguchi, back to Yazuma. Long 2 is good. Japan double their lead. They're out to a 4-point break.
Opals really just need to show some poise in this last 2 minutes and make sure that they stay in touch.
Tough shot there for Maley, won't go. And Yazuma again on clean-up duty. And again, that really penetrating pass to try and beat the defense before it gets a chance to set. Yazuma, and a foul called off the ball. And we've seen them run that a couple of times in the last few minutes where they get the quick pass down court and try to catch the Aussies out of position. It's been working for them.
Well, they have, and you know, because we're protecting the basket and having to get out to the three-point line because we know how potent they are. And you know, Japan's taking advantage of that. That's their game. Run, run.
Aussies force a turnover here. George comes up with it. Rochi spins past Yazuma. Back to Kayla. Thinks about the give to Maley, wants her to position. Instead, she goes to Madgen. She's got Garvin inside, sets a screen, pick and pop. Kayla is good.
Again, that great ball movement, recognition of what the defense is doing. They're switching. Kayla wide open at the top, ready to shoot that ball.
Yazuma. Oh, he's darting and fouled. Apology there from Kayla George. 1 point game, final minute of the second term.
Australia number 31, Kayla George. At first, Japanese ball. Starts with Japan. Miyazawa.
I like the fact, and you can tell what a high-quality game this is, because there's only, Aussies have had 6 turnovers, the Japan team 4 turnovers.
You can almost make it 5. Yazuma somehow bounces to her feet, off to Takada. She finds Takanahashi in the corner, and George will slap it out. It was intended for Rochi. It's tidied up. Yazuma receives from Miyazawa. Now to Katamaki. Floats a pass. Clever there from Hiroshita. Back out to Takada. Unorthodox play won't go. Imagine. Aussies can have the final shot here. Chance to take the lead at the half. Rochi happy to work the clock. Who gets this shot? Garvin. Madgen. George inside. Instead, she goes outside to Garvin. Back to Madgen. Jacks it up. Won't go. And Yazuma with the half-court shot. Rims out. We've got ourselves a game in game 3. It was the Aussies by 5 points at quarter time. Japan, as we expected, fought back in that second term. They scored 22 points to 16 to hit the front. And at half-time in game 3, it is Japan 40, Australia 39. And the stage is perfectly set for a fascinating second half.
What a high-quality women's basketball game, international game. We've seen it all. The defense has been fantastic, really getting up and in and forcing some great shots. And it's so good to see. And the second half, well, everybody can get this one.
Annalie Maley came off the bench in that first half, making her Opals debut with 7 points. Here she is with Jen.
She has been sensational for her debut game. Both teams are shooting at a great clip. Ball movement has been sensational. Defensively, you've given up 40 points. What can we tidy up?
Look, I just think our defensive pressure could be better. Like, we're letting them dribble the ball up the court. We're not making them make decisions. And I think our D-Trains really needs to pick up in this second half. Obviously, it's a great display of scoring on both sides. Much better than the other game the other day. But yeah, fun, enjoyable basketball. It's good to be out there, but we've got to clean up the second half.
Personally, your first game, how are the nerves? They're out. You feel like you're just playing freely at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think the nerves will ever stop. That's kind of what fuels me. But yeah, what an honour. Like, I have to take a couple moments to pinch myself and stuff, but we've got a job to do right now, and let's get that done.
You do indeed. Good luck in the second half.
Appreciate it. Thank
11 points for Kayla George, 7 for Annalie Maley, 5 for Shyla Hill lead the scoring for Australia in the opening half. Let's take you inside the Opals camp now. Megan Huswaite with assistant coach Shannon Seabohm.
Shannon, the first half has been a seesawing contest like we've seen in games 1 and 2. What will be the message at halftime as Australia looks to gain ascendancy?
Yeah, look, I think we started the game really well. We executed quite well offensively. We probably had some turnovers that were costly in the second quarter. And defensively, we've mixed our pick and roll schemes a little bit, and I think we need to do a bit better job with that as well.
Thank you for your time. Good luck in the second.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks to Megan and Shannon Seabohm. We are perfectly set for a second half here. It's the Japanese 40, Australia 39. We'll break it down from all angles when we return after the break. It's game 3 of the Australia-Japan series as the road to the FIBA Women's World Cup continues.
Winning medals at World Championship basketball events is tough business.
The intensity and the aggression that these women play with.
We were relentless. We wore teams down over 40 minutes.
But the big thing, I think, was knowing that somebody always had your back.
There was no excuses. We were all there for each other, and win or lose, we did it together.
It hurts when you can't deliver for the people that you want to win with.
When you're willing to put the name on the back away and play for the name on the front, winning finds you.
It's a childhood dream. It gives me goosebumps even talking about it.
We want to play for her, we want to win for her as well as each other.
That documentary coming away on in the lead up to the World Cup, and Laurie Chiswick, such a proud heritage and history behind the Australian Opals.
Some of the words that they used, you know, relentless, we've got your back, we do it together. I mean, those just are what the Opals are about, and what, you know, this new group will want to emulate that, but also have their own identity, and we've talked a lot about that.
And a great opportunity for women's basketball here in Australia as we bring in Megan Huswaite and Jenny Screen courtside. Ladies, an opportunity to open the tent a little bit more. It won't just be women's basketball fans watching the Women's World Cup this year. It won't just be basketball fans in Australia, but it'll be the general sporting public. Megan, it creates a great opportunity for us to elevate women's basketball to another level in the country. The question in the chatter is about how do we go about doing that?
Well, it's a great question, Jace, because we saw really before COVID hit us in 2020 the incredible spectacle of the Women's World Cup cricket at the MCG on International Women's Day. I think it inspired us all, but Screeny, we've now got our chance as our own sport to make a mark and leave a legacy, a bit like Oz 94 inspired so many of the players. Lauren Jackson in that documentary spoke about it, and yourself. It's really now our time.
It is indeed. I remember in the Sydney Olympics I was a volunteer and I got to watch the women's Opals play USA in that gold medal game with Lisa Leslie versus Lauren Jackson. It was absolute hit, and you can only imagine what it's going to be like for the next generation. How do we get them involved? We make sure we're everywhere. We're on all the platforms, social media, mainstream. We're talking about it constantly. We've got, 115 days to go until the 12 best teams are here playing over 38 games of basketball. It's going to be very exciting, and I know you can't wait, and I can't wait either.
And Laurie, continuing on to that point, there's a great opportunity for community engagement. There's a great opportunity for us to generate a little bit more media coverage than the sport would normally get. Really, we want to make sure that we put our best foot forward here.
Well, I think when we talked about the word relentless for the players, I think that's what we want to be in our publicity, in our promotion of this great sport and the great team that we have. And just to see the kids out there with the Opals and being involved, it's such a boost, and it's something that we really need to focus on and make sure our players are so accessible, and they're so great at that you can see Jade Melbourne there enjoying herself as much as the kids are, and that's what it's all about, and we just want to build and build until September.
And Sydney in September will be the perfect destination. People will be coming from all over the world. The weather will be fantastic. It'll be a great opportunity and a great celebration of women's basketball. It is halftime in Game 3 of this series. Japan 40, Australia 39. Back with the second half right after this.
Having the FIBA Women's World Cup here in September in 2022 is so awesome. Come and experience architecture and the culture here and just the beauty of the city.
We have an incredible family of koalas here at the zoo. This is so beautiful. These are so perfect.
My favourite thing about the grounds is just all the greenery. It just feels like you're in this little pocket.
The fact that Sydney is a host city to the FIBA Women's World Cup is so awesome. Make sure you go and get your tickets right now.
It's Game 3 of the Australia-Japan Road to the World Cup warm-up series. Newcastle Entertainment Centre, Australia by 5 points at the first change. Japan with 22 points to 16 in the second term to snatch the lead. They lead by a point as we get set for second half action. And Laurie Chiswick, what would you be saying to these Opals as we get set for the third term?
Well, I think defensively, we want to make sure that they have no open look. So everything's contested. Make sure that we carry a hand, get out to their shooters, close out long, and then make sure that we don't give them any second chance opportunities. So once that shot goes up, we want to then rebound and look to run ourselves, push the ball. I think we've got some great athletes out there that have the ability to do that and test the Japanese early in the shot clock and see if you can punch it in. Continue to go inside. That's where we've been successful so far. But I really think that we can push it a little bit more. Let's do that. Let's get out there. Let's run.
Megan Huswaite was inside the Aussie camp at half-time. Megan, what was the message from Cheryl Chambers?
Yeah, some key pillars from Cheryl Chambers at halftime. A real focus on defensive transition in this second half. A bit quicker in those defensive rotations as well. She wants to see some more aggression on offense and for Australia to take advantage of their size. There's also a focus on continuing to be quick. Cheryl spoke ahead of this series about Japan's pace. They're lightning quick, and she said there's a bit of a tendency to slow down against them. And prior to Friday night's win over Japan, Australia hadn't been able to defeat them for several years. So if they can get back to some of those things that they did on Friday night, it should hold them in good stead in this second half.
Thanks, Megan. Jenny Screen, anything in particular from a personnel or structural perspective that you could see or suggest or think about?
No, I think actually, to be honest, it's really hard to pick apart both teams. I think it's been an exceptional game of international women's basketball today. Yes, we can say that they've got to raise the intensity, they've got to push the ball harder. I'm just enjoying the ball movement, the way they're shooting at such a high clip, considering the way both teams are playing defense. If I was going to be critical, the one thing we have to fix up is how we inbound the ball off a score. We've got to get better because now teams realise that our point guards are struggling a bit with full court defensive pressure. Our point guards have got to get used to catching the ball on the fly and getting some momentum rather than trying to play one-on-one against elite defenders.
Thanks, Jen. We'll see whether or not the Aussies can do that in the second half. Field goal percentage, Japan shooting at 60, Australia at 54. The rebound count has really evened up, Laurie. At one point it was 10-3 Australia. At half-time now it's 20-16 Australia.
Yeah, and the thing I always look at is the offensive rebounds, 10 for Australia, 7 for Japan. So whilst we want to keep going to the boards, we want to make sure, as I said, get that blocking out done. No second chance opportunities.
Start the second half, Blitzarves to George. And the Aussies grab back an early lead. Rochi works on a Cajo. Blitzarves wide open. It's short. She knew it. Followed it in, but couldn't get a handle. Yazuma wants to use her speed on Blitzarves. Now out to Okoya. Wants to go herself. Good active hands there from Blitzarves. And she forces the turnover. So turnovers 6-5. Australia.
And that's just having active hands. That's just, you know, being active, following the flight of the ball, seeing if you can just get a fingertip to it.
Rochi, Garban, Madgen. George baseline. On to Carter. Back out to Madgen. Can't turn the corner onto Carter. Switches right. Garban open. To Carter the board. Yazuma been so busy. Hits the floor running. Goes again, tries to turn Blitzarves. Tough finish. Here's Rochi. Uses Madgen. Back to Maddie. Now Garban. Blitzarves posts up. Can't control it.
Blitzarves recognized straight away that she had a mismatch and tried to take her player down to the low block. Just the angle of the pass inside wasn't great.
Here's Yazuma Shiori. He's done the bulk of the carrying tonight. Nice little step on Rochi. To Carter, leaves it for a Cajo who gets it to the rack. Rochi versus Yazuma. George against Takata. Garban. Rochi. Feeds it into George. Well done, Takata. Off to Okoya. She feeds a Cajo. The Aussies get let off the hook. Here's Madgen.
Absolutely dodged a bullet there. D-Trans, Megan talked about it at halftime as a pillar that Cheryl wanted to address.
Madgen working on Toto. Tough shot, won't go. Madgen the hustle. Needs support, finds it. Her Boomers teammate George. Blitzarves takes on to Carter. Gets to the rim. Back to a one-point game. Okoye for the quick response is good. George to Blitzarves. Gets into the lane, goes herself, won't drop. Rodchi surrounded, spills out. Blitzarves, George, Madgen sets up. Now the receive, Garvin. Takes on to Carter, wanted to kick it out. It's got George inside, step back, won't drop. Akaho to Yuzuma. Good handles there on Rodchi. Wants to go again on George, but Kayla's got her covered, so she backs it out. Yuzuma to Carter. Okoye sets up. She's had a hot hand in this series. This one's short. And George lets it bounce out. Annalee Maley into the game. Kayla takes a seat. Arjun sits at 4. We've chewed through 3:18 in this third term. Aussies have put up 2 points. Japan have put up 5. So scoring's dried up for both these teams right now. Rodchi to Madgen. Can Australia get something going on offense? Blitzarves the inside feed. Good recognition to Garvin.
I really like Blitzarves' decision-making. You know, whether to drive it, shoot it, that was a great passing opportunity. She's really matured in that part of her game.
Miyazaki to Carter. Yoshida back to Miyazaki. Again, Blitzarves gets a hand in to disrupt the play.
She's doing a great job of following the flight of the ball and reacting early to that flight, not waiting till it lands in somebody's hand.
4 seconds on the shot clock. Miyazawa. Japan unaware of the time ticking down, and the Aussies force a turnover. Let's head courtside, Jenny Screen.
For the viewers at home, that rotation from the Opals was the Opals of old. That was absolutely sensational. It was a four-way switch then between Rodchi, Blitzarves, Tess Madgen and Annalee Maley as Japan tried their hardest to get a shot off and got a shot clock violation instead. Really, really quality defensive rotation there from the Opals in this third quarter.
Maley can't quite get it going. So scoring's dried up in this third term, Jen. Is that because the defences are stepping up, or are the offences just slightly out of rhythm right now?
Yeah, probably out of rhythm. You know, it's the third game in as many days, and they've had to travel up here as well and obviously do clinics. There's a lot going on, and obviously fatigue and the nerves also playing, anxiety with trying to fight for selection as well. It all comes into play, but now it's a war of attrition. You can't be tied in the third or fourth quarter at a World Championships. You've got to find a way, and I think this is the way it's going to go for the rest of this game.
If Australia go all the way to the medal round at the World Cup, they'll play 8 games in 10 days, so certainly is a war of attrition when it comes to the big tournaments, Laurie. No time for scouting, no time for much training in between. It's all just about rehab and recovery, getting ready for the next one.
Well, it is, and you know, you have play a couple, have one rest day, and then you've got another 3 in a row. So it's not like an Olympics. World Championships, you're going pretty much day in and day out.
Garvin, the spin. Can't get it to finish, it's short, but Maley comes up with the board, gets away from her. And it's an Aussie ball. Touched over the line there by Takana Hashi. And the Aussies, a bit of good fortune there. And again, the hustle of Annalee Maley.
She just never stops. You know, she just is a magnet for the ball and will just keep going and going after it.
Megan's courtside.
It's pretty remarkable what Annalee Maley's doing tonight. Not that it's just her debut for the Opals, but she arrived back in Australia on Saturday. She had jet lag and she said she was full of energy and actually could have played on Saturday, but she'd hit a wall on Sunday. She hasn't been part of the preparation for these games. She was over in the WNBA achieving her dream. So the fact she's been able to come in here and be part of the cohesive group we've seen so far, it's a real feather in her cap.
And something that the coaches will be impressed by, no doubt. Garben inside, Blitzarves and one. That gets the Newcastle crowd up and about. Opal's up off the bench, looking for a bit of a spark in this third term. Chance to draw back within one.
Well, again, it was just that poise by Shyla Heel to find Garben, and then Garben looking inside to find Blitzarves.
She adds the extra, and it is a one-point game. Under 5 minutes in the third. Miyazaki. And another little error there, this time to Takahashi, couldn't collect. And it's the Aussies ratcheting up a little bit of pressure here and a chance to hit the front on this possession. As Darcy Garben takes a seat. Maylee to Heel. Blitzarves. Scherf back into the game. Here's Madgen. Scherf posts up. Turns. Shoots and scores. Aussies in front.
Nice to see Lauren Scherf going inside and finishing that. She's the biggest player. She's the tallest player on the court. She has to take advantage of that.
And she comes up with the board at the other end. The Newcastle crowd up and about. Scherf receives from Heel. Off to Blitzarves. Can the Aussies get a bit of momentum, get on a run? Blitzarves keeps it rolling.
That's just what Sarah's capable of doing. She can almost be that X factor in what she brings to this team. We know that in broken play, she loves to attack it. She can shoot the three-point shot. You know, she's just playing with a lot of confidence right now.
And Jenny Screen, every single Opals player came off the bench and went straight to Lauren Scherf and gave her a pump up. That was a really impressive and influential 60 seconds off the bench.
Yeah, it is, and considering she hasn't played much in the first two games, it's nice to see her stay in tune with the game and you know, have the right mindset in the moment and just be able to play when she gets those opportunities. How good, though, was that move just then by Sarah Blitzarves, showing some great athleticism as she just ripped hard to the rack, and that was something that Cheryl Chambers wanted to see in the second half from her pointers, was to attack offensively with aggression, and that was a great example there by Sarah Blitzarves.
Speaking of Cheryl, let's go inside the huddle.
What you horns flare, no, the opposite side. Yeah, sorry. Unless she's not open. Opal's on three, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, Shyla. If she's not open.
So the Aussies back in front with a three-point lead and a little bit of energy and spark. Strategic timeout there from the Japanese coach, Onzuko Toru. It's the Australian crowd look to lift the Opals. Nice move by Miyazaki, gets to the hoop, and it's back to a one-point game.
I'm not sure that's what he drew out in the plan to come out, but it certainly worked.
Heel being harassed by Miyazaki, almost loses it, and does, gives it up, coughs it up, and Hiroshita puts Japan back in front. Good pressure again from the Japanese on Shyla Heel. Now it's Maylee under the pump. Needs support, gets it from Blitzarves. And it's pretty clear what Onzuka Toru drew up in his timeout. Let's just ratchet the pressure up to 11, and the Aussies might crack. They get it back. Back-to-back turnovers. Miyazaki. Great response here from Japan. Noguchi. Miyazaki wants to take on Scherf. Can't finish. How's the ball movement this time for Australia? Maylee. Madgen. Wide open. Easiest basket of the night for Tess.
It certainly was easiest basket for the Opals, I think. Again, it was that look of pushing the ball up the floor and then attacking the defense. The floodgates just opened for Madgen.
Toto. Okoye. Gets Scherf off balance twice, gets to the stripe and finishes.
Okoye is just so experienced in what she does. Got her off her feet to begin with, a little bit off balance, and took that dribble. Again, a nice little fake and easy shot.
Again, the pressure comes. Blitzarves to heel. Scherf at the arc. Now she rolls basket. Madgen down to 6 seconds. Draws a crowd. Maley, nice step. Travel call. As we head courtside, Megan Huswaite.
Well, KO is getting a workout all over the world right now as our Opals who are overseas are tuning in to watch their team in action. Mariana Tolo is watching in France. It's 20-1 in the afternoon. She said it's so great to see how aggressive the girls are playing today. They're looking great on the boards, and it's lovely to hear all the on-court communication from the girls. She's loving seeing the players get opportunities to represent our country. So hello to Tolo. We can't wait to see you back here soon.
What a difference she can make to this squad. Heel at the arc. Again being harassed. Off to Maley. Japan by 1 inside the last 2 minutes. Heel runs into traffic, almost turns it over. Need a shot. Maley's got to go with 2 seconds. And again, good pressure from Japan. Australia just losing their composure right now. Toto draws traffic. Heel rips it away. Chance here for Shyla Heel on the burst. Can she pop it over the top to Maley? Goes herself and finishes. Australia back in front.
That was a nice steal from Shyla and really pushed the tempo.
Uzuma to Takada. This one feels like it's going all the way to the wire, doesn't it? Akaho, 2 evenly matched teams throughout this series. Akaho wants to work with Takada. In the end, it opened up. She went herself, couldn't finish. Maley with the rebound. Final minute, third term. Aussies by 1. It was Japan by 1 at the half. Heel. Nicholson back into the game, receives. Scherf gets into position. Board won't fall her way. Nicholson comes in and scraps. It'll spill to Uzuma. She'll wait for support. Wants to take on Nicholson, who reaches in. Maley there as well. And again, the Australians force the jump ball. So the Aussies responding. They're ratcheting up the defensive pressure.
It's just either way, Jason. I mean, you know, once you sort of feel that the Opals have the ascendancy and then the Japanese came out really strong this start of this quarter and then it sort of evened out. And now you feel like the Opals are really putting that extra bit of pressure on defensively.
Uzuma, Okoya, Toto walks through and scores, and Japan have the lead once again. Australia will get the final shot. Can we make this a best-of-5 series, Lauren?
Yes.
Can we keep going? This is fun. Heel loses the ball. Regains. Jump ball. So some handling issues in the third for the Aussies. Under pressure. And Australia get it back. They have the possession arrow with 10 seconds left. And Uzuma Shiori, such a defensive presence. What can the Aussies come up with here? Heel. Nicholson's got to get it in. She goes to Scherf. She's going to lose the handle. Uzuma, last opportunity for Japan. Takada for the dagger. Well done, Lauren Scherf. Toto still a chance. Okoya for the finish. Won't go. And a frenetic finish to an exciting third term. And we are all set for a grandstand finish. Japan 55, Australia 54 as we turn for home in Newcastle. Final quarter, Newcastle Entertainment Centre. 3-game series on the line. It's 1 game apiece. It's Japan by a point as we start the last term. Miyazaki links up with Takada. Back to Miyazaki. Back to Takada. She's got Okoye to the left. A couple of options to the right. She goes to Hiroshita. Now Akaho. Athletic move, couldn't quite finish in the Aussies. Now a chance to regain the lead. Rochi brings it up the floor. Off to Nicholson. George sets a screen. Back to Rochi. George versus Takada. Draws a crowd. Opens up for Cole. Sets. Shoots. Won't go. Well done, Kayla George, but Nicholson can't get on the end of it. Let's head courtside. Megan Huswaite was in Cheryl Chambers' huddle at 3-quarter time. What were the major messages, Meeks?
Defense, defense, defense. Cheryl was much happier with the improved efforts late in that 3rd quarter, but said we need to keep it up. George, Maley, Cole, Rochi and Nicholson starting for the Opals in this final term. Intense final quarter of basketball. Miyazaki won't go. Akaho taken down from behind inadvertently by Nicholson. And Jenny Screen, we get to see both these teams, young, developing, inexperienced players in many cases, a chance to see what they're like in the big moments.
Absolutely. Akaho, she's quite young. Okoye, also very young, only 23 years of age. Takada, she's only the veteran really in her 30s on court right now and leading the way for her team. She's also a black belt in karate as well, so there's a little tidbit for you. Fun fact, as we see Maddie Rochi, someone that I wouldn't want to get in a fight with in the dark alley. She is strong as well as a point guard for Australia. What I would like to see, though, is us to take the ball at Miyazaki. She's a small, slight point guard. We've got some nice, strong guards that can probably post her up, and we need to exploit that a little bit more, I think.
George to Nicholson. A good 30 seconds for the Aussies. Can Rochi make it even better? No, she can't. Off George's hand. Japanese ball. The Aussies with a 1-point lead.
I'll be interested to see as the quarter progresses what both coaches do as far as the personnel on the court. Will they continue to sub freely and give opportunity, or will they go with whoever is playing the best basketball in this game to finish it off and try and get the win?
Miyazaki, busy as always. Whistle off the ball. Foul on Maddie Rochi. So the Aussies by 1. It was Australia by 5 at the first change, Japan by 1 at half-time and 1 at 3-quarter time. 15 points apiece in that 3rd term. Jade Melbourne turned the game in game 1. She comes off the bench. Can she do it again here? Miyazaki to Okoye. Back to Miyazaki. Wants to use her speed against George. Needs support. Okoye in good position. Hits a big 3. Rochi, quick ball. Melbourne. Back to Maddie. Lane opens up. Takada gets there just in time. Japan want the travel. Instead, Maddie Rochi will go to the line and shoot 2. Haven't seen a lot of penetration straight up the lane tonight. There's the foul against Takada. So good identification there from the Aussies, and Rochi saw that path open. She went for it. Aussies 5 for 9 from the line tonight. Make it 5 for 10. Opportunity goes begging. Pressure continues to build. Miyazaki. Miyazawa. Takada. Toto. Pressure comes from Cole. Here's Takada again. Tries to get to the lane. Can't do so. Rochi in the way. Can't quite control it. Toto's going to have to jack up a shot. She does. Hits the rim. Japanese ball. Miyazaki can reset. Takada, big screen on Rochi. Miyazaki goes herself. George in there. Off hands. Japanese ball once again. Frustration on the face of Cheryl Chambers. 2nd and now 3rd chance here on this possession for Japan.
Yeah, if you give a team like that many opportunities, they're bound to score. So They need to really lock in here on this out-of-bounds play.
Shyla Hill gets ready to check back into the game, replaces Maddie Rocci. So Maddie just getting some medical attention there, cut to her right knee. Yazuma, set play inbound to Akaho, and she's fouled.
Akaho's going to shoot 2. Foul score on Australia, number 14, Jane Melbourne.
So Himawari Akaho, 23-year-old from Ishikawa, plays her basketball at Denso Iris. Two-time Asian Cup gold medal winner, was the MVP in the 21 tournament. Part of their Olympic silver campaign last year. This is her first. She's known for a big play. She made a huge block against Australia in the Asian Cup semi-final last year. In the final seconds of the game. She makes her second here. And it's a 3-point lead to Japan. Beck Cole sits down, Blitzarms in.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Japan as a team have really shot the free throws well this tournament. They're at 83% now, and the other 2 games they were above 80 as well.
Yeah, they're 5 for 6, Australia 5 for 10. There's the difference in the game. Meili, Blitzarms. Heel, thinks about taking on Akaho. Now she's double teamed. Can she work her way through it? She can't. And every time Shyla Hill gets the ball, Japan bring the heat.
That's a real aggressive double, and you know, really putting the sting in that.
Screen from Takada on Hill. Here's Akaho. Lining up to take the shot is Miyazawa. Off to Yazuma. Tempo and intensity is lifted. Game on the line. Meili streams up the lane. Can she finish? Not quite. Blitzarms fights for it. Japan keep it alive. And now they run straight at the Australian defence. Yazuma sets up for 3. Huge play. Won't go. George grabs it. Now Melbourne. Stumbles to the line. Feeds Meili. No space to work in. Well done, Akaho. Takada, quick give. Yazuma on the burst. Blitzarms provides the coverage. Takada for 3. Won't go again. They'll get another opportunity. Miyazawa, Takada.
There's been a lot of up and down action right now, Jason, for very little reward for either team.
They both look a little gassed right now. And you can understand why. Yazuma draws the foul. And Sarah Blitzarms. And right now, it just feels like the Japanese are in control. The margin's out at 5 points. Australia needs someone to turn the momentum their way here. Magin back into the game. Her veteran smarts.
Well, we'll see if, as in game 1, they put Tess Magin into the point position. And that certainly, I thought, changed the dynamics of the game.
Izuma Shiori. Can't get it to go. Meili. Inside 6 minutes. Again, they bring the double. Magin. Blitzarms. Garvin looks to set up position. Heel. Shot clock down to 7. Garvin rolls away from traffic again. They double team. Magin has to get a shot up. Can't do so. Well played, Japan.
So every opportunity Japan have, they are going to blitz and double and trap that, specifically Shyla coming off that on-ball screen.
Yazuma loses heel. Well read, Meili. Can Australia make something of this? She pushes the tempo, needs some support, goes to Blitzarms. Now Magin. Aussies just lost a little bit of fluency in offense. Garvin, can they get a spark? Not there. Meili scraps for it. Japanese ball, Yazuma. Really controlled the game for Japan tonight. Takes on Magin. He's got a couple of outside shooters. One of them's Hiroshita. And we're inside 4.5 minutes now. Heel, Madgen, Maley. Aussies need a basket here. They need some momentum. Blitzarves got Madgen in the corner. Goes to Garvin. Back to Blitzarves. And she steps on the line. So another empty offensive set for the Aussies.
I think it was a foul called, Jason. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not sure of the foul count, but it certainly will be an Australian ball.
Here's another look. Moving screen there on Okoye. Quick inboard, in-ball rather. Blitzarves can't convert. Look at the speed here from Miyazaki. Takes off. Off to Hiroshita. Nice step on Rochi. Gets in a position, can't finish. Maley can't control it, keeps it alive. Blitzarves. Rochi takes on Miyazaki. Now holds it up. Under 4 minutes. Maley wants to go herself. Tough finish. And Madgen clips Toto and gives away the foul.
So I like the way on that last possession, Maddie Rochi pushed the ball up and tested the defense. There was nothing there, so she brought it back up and set up some horns action. But if we can continually do that and push it and make the opponent have to pick us up early and defend us, I think that's really important.
Jenny Screen courtside from an Australian perspective. Need to change something up in the last 3:49 here. What would you suggest?
Well, look, they've got Sarah Blitzarves playing in the 3 spot, and obviously defensively she's a tough matchup because she's quite tall. I'd love to see her post up, get some action there. Maddie Rochi get some little to big screens in order to potentially get some switching action happening and forcing Japan into rotation and allowing our big girls where we want to dominate, which is in the paint, where we did a good job in the first half, go back to the well of getting the ball inside. And let's hopefully hear Cheryl Chambers be able to talk about that potentially in this timeout.
Aussies going to need to start being more aggressive. They trail by 7 points. Still plenty of time, but they need to do something to change the momentum and flow of this game.
Well, I think Screeny made a good point of, you know, going inside. So let's hear what Cheryl Chambers has to say.
Maley, you're going to be the low big, you're going to be the high big Darcy. Okay, so we're going to get the screen, come back up here. Give it to the one. Maley's going to get it. You're going to come off really hard. And Maley, you're going to fake and go back here for a one-on-one and see if you can get to the rack. Okay? If she's free, you can give it to her on the way through, but go through nice and hard. Make sure we get open. Okay? This game's ours if we want it, girls. Here we go. Opals on 3. 1, 2, 3. Opals.
.349 left on the clock. Japan with a 7-point lead. And in a game that's been as tight as this, that's a significant advantage. Can the Aussies regain control here? Blitzarves, the 1-2 with Madgen again. Japan bringing the pressure in the form of Miyazaki. Garvin. Rochi receives, now Madgen. There's Maley. Can she get to the hoop? She can't, so she'll take the jump shot.
That is the best thing when the coach writes something out, draws something out at a timeout, and it's executed perfectly. That's exactly what they were looking for.
Back to 5. Miyazaki combines with Akaho, gets it back, wants to take Maley on. Lovely feed. Takata can't finish. And Maley again puts her body on the line.
I can think of 3 times this game where that exact backdoor cut has happened, just losing vision of our player, and they can see that the head's turned and just go straight to the basket.
So ball out off Annalee Maley. In fact, it's been considered an Australian ball. Good break there for the Opals. Madgen. Pressure comes from Hiroshita. Garvin, Maley, back to Tess. Kayla. Over the top. Blitzarves is open. Couple of good offensive sets for the Aussies.
Really good inside look there. Nice pass by Kayla. What we're doing right now, too, is we're really cutting with pace and cutting to score.
It's back to a 1-possession game. 2:45 left on the clock. Hiroshita, Okoye wide open. Doesn't make the Aussies pay.
Wow, we dodged a bullet there, Jason.
Blitzarves to Madgen. Crowd roaring in Newcastle. This one going to the wire, the series decider. Garvin, Maley, now Madgen. Steps inside, works the lane, draws a crowd. Out to Garvin, gets to the stripe. Now Blitzarves, 5 seconds. Deep two, won't go. And George can't slap it to the Australians' advantage. Miyazaki comes up with it. To Carter, now Okoye. Again, Miyazaki so busy, probing, looking for an option. Goes to the skipper. To Carter, wants to work on Madgen. George comes across in support. Akaho needs to give it up. Aussies did well.
Tess Madgen, you legend. Great hand, great poise.
And now a chance to either tie it up or make it a one-point game. Maley goes herself, can't finish. Big opportunity here. Miyazaki wants to push it, but doesn't have the support. Now she does. Defensive breakdown. Akaho waltzes through.
You have to be impressed with the way the Japanese, 1.5 minutes to go, and they are still pushing the ball. They are still running hard.
Back out to 5. Aussies need to be precise now. George. Blitzarves loses her opposition and finds 2.
Great job. That play worked previously.
Timeout called with 1:17 left on the clock. Blitzarves up to 15 points. She leads the game. Kayla George has 11. Just gets rid of Miyazaki and finishes. Approaching the final minute of the series. Yuzuma, she finds her way through. And the response from the Japanese is good. It's a 5-point game, 1:06 left on the clock. Jenny Screen, courtside, your thoughts?
Well, it's been an up and down kind of game. I'm with Laurie in terms of the two tempos. We've done a great job on getting stops. We just haven't been able to capitalise. We've just taken a few rush shots at times, which has really hurt us, and then Japan are just too good, and they're the silver medalists for a reason, punishing us when we can't score ourselves. But there's still plenty of oxygen left in this game. 1:06, we've got at least 3 to 4 possessions. We need a quick hit out of this, and then a defensive stop, and then anything can happen. This is international women's basketball, guys.
We can't take you inside the huddle in the final 2 minutes. Out of respect for Cheryl Chambers and her coaching staff, Laurie, what would you be saying right now?
Well, one thing I really like about this situation is you can't really replicate it in training. You do you try different things. So she would be talking about shots that they have practiced. You know, if we need a quick hitter, we do this. You know, it's a 5-point game, so they're going to need a 3 and a 2. Take the best first shot opportunity. Go in after those boards, and then you've got to come up with some stops.
Maley, Madgen, Garvin, Blitzarves and George, the 5 for Australia. .66 seconds left in the series, barring overtime. Maley, the inbound. Thought about Madgen's got to get rid of it. She does. George is wide open. Doesn't take the 3. Goes to Blitzarves. Back to George. Baseline 2, rattles out. Maley gets the board. Another timeout call on Zukatoru. Wants to talk it over with his Japanese players, and the pressure continues to mount. Huge second chance points there for Annalee Maley. The Aussies back within 1 possession.
And that's what we know she can do. That's a big time board in a pressure situation to bring this back to a 1-possession game.
Let's head courtside, Megan Huswaite.
The crowd are out of their seats here at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre, no more so than Jenny Screen, who's next to me. She nearly burst onto the court when Annalee made that basket. Screeny, how exciting is it to see a talent like that?
Oh, it's so exciting because she's doing what she's good at. She's getting rebounds and she's able to get the putbacks. What I was more screaming about was getting the girls to come up and play full court defense on the next play, not realising that Cheryl or the Japan had called a timeout. But we've got to be up. We've got to get a stop here. We do have team fouls, so we've got to be smart. We can't send them to the foul line either. We just have to play strong, hard, physical defense, get a stop, and then allow us a nice offensive set.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Megs. To your point, Laurie, this is the perfect preparation. This is exactly what you want from a warm-up series, isn't it? You want good, hard contests, pressure situations like this to prepare you for a big tournament.
And we said at the beginning, both teams want to win this series, want to win this game, and it is playing out exactly like that.
Uzuma with the inbound. 57.9 seconds. Australia do bring the pressure. But not really the heat there. Uzuma's still able to just walk it up. Now Magin presses.
They're going to use
happy to hold.
Yeah, we'll use the whole clock.
They've got a set play ready to go. Uzuma and Takata look to work at Akaho. Takata will cut to the hoop and score.
Oh, a face cut on Garvin.
Nicely run play by the Japanese.
A lot of poise by the Japanese, really controlling that ball until about 8 seconds, then setting up that little on ball, drawing some defenders, again just losing vision, and a nice cut to the basket.
And the double bonus of not only the 2 points, but chewed some time off the clock. We're down to 35.1 seconds. And Jen, we talk about the differences between international basketball and club basketball. In this situation, you're bringing together players who don't play together on a regular basis. So when you see set plays like that from Japan, they really stand out because you don't have a lot of time to train that sort of stuff.
No, they don't, but make no mistake about it, they would train a lot, these Japanese girls, and they've done a lot of that too whilst they've been out here. We know in Game 2 they were training after the game. They trained twice on Saturday as well in between the Friday and Sunday games. These Asian countries, they drill home from the age of 16 all the way through. So whilst they may not play together in the same clubs, they know the system very well. For the Opals right now, we've still got to try and fight and get this win, and I know the girls are going to come out this time out and try their hardest to do that because we still have to play these guys at the World Cup in Group B to even be a chance to get out into the medal rounds. And anytime we can get a win against Japan, who are the 5-time Asia champs, is going to boost our confidence. So let's watch this last 35 seconds, guys.
Hanley Maley with the inbound. Aussies trail by 5. Need a really good set here. Magin. Blitzarves. George. Maley sets up. George goes herself.
I'm not sure whether that was a pass or a shot.
3-second differential right now between shot and game clock. So even if Japan chew all the time, Australia will still get one last opportunity. The Japanese lead by 2. Happy to run the clock down. This is Uzuma. She'll run it all the way. Can they stop her? Blitzarves, she steps out. Happy to just run it down to 1.6 seconds and not give Australia any opportunity to handle the ball.
Smart play to just, you know, not try and do too much or make a pass that could be intercepted.
So it'll end up being a couple of seconds, as we said. It was a 2 or 3 second differential between shot and game clock. Aussies will advance the ball.
Well, I don't think they have the option, unless it's only a timeout that you have the option of advancing the ball. So I think it'll be sideline in our in our backcourt with that violation. Sarah's trying to creep forward as much as possible.
Set play here for Australia. 2-point game. Where does this go? George, Garvin. Blitzarves with the inbound.
Whoever catches it, it's really not much more than a catch and shoot.
Magin and Maley, the other two on the floor for Australia. And now Kayla pulls the group together as they still try to get this clock sorted out. They come in for another chat. And now they head to the bench as they continue to fiddle with the game clock. Jenny Screen, what would you do?
Well, in this actual fact, I'd probably put in Shyla Heal and get a play run for her. She's actually done pretty good from the three-point line these 2 previous games. But, you know, there is a brain trust out there. Kayla George has just hit the last 3 to put us in in touch and with a chance to win. We saw her drain that one. We've seen her do it on the world stage before. She did it in 2018 at the World Cup as well, and she's done it at the Olympics. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Kayla take the last shot. We did see on the last out of bounds, though, they run a gate kind of exit for Sarah Blitzarves to get a shot, but she didn't get it. But my money's with Kayla if I'm going to be a betting woman here, guys.
Laurie, they going for two and taking the three if it presents?
I think so. I think you know if we can get a deep pass and a deep catch by some screening action, you go for the whatever's the best option for you.
You got 2.5 seconds from the moment the ball hits the receiver's hands. Blitzarves the inbound. Series on the line. Hail Mary play. George underneath. It hits the backboard. Japan will hang on. And the Japanese will win the series. They take game 3 to wrap it up. It's been thoroughly entertaining, thoroughly revealing for both sides. Japan 69, Australia 67.
This last game, game 3, in fact, this whole series had everything in it that these two teams would want in a friendly series before a World Championship. It tested both teams, both ends of the court, and they'll take a lot from this series.
So the last play, the big Hail Mary from Blitzarves to George. She was in position to take it baseline, but unfortunately for Australia, it just clipped the corner of the backboard.
I guess they were going for that too, it has to be such a perfect pass to make that happen. Credit to Japan for holding on to this game and to winning it. There were so many momentum swings.
Great respect, series played in wonderful spirits. And as you said, Laurie, so much for both these teams to take out of it. Japan fighting back after losing game 1. They took game 2 by a point and game 3 by 2 points. What a fantastic 3-game series. As we said during the call, it would have been great to have this as a 5-gamer. Stay here, play a couple more. We could keep watching this for weeks.
Well, it's so true, and it's such a great demonstration of elite women's basketball on the international stage, and what just a tiny sliver of a taste of what we're going to see in September.
Megan Huswaite is with the Opals debutante, a night she'll never forget. Here's Annalie Maley.
A night she will never forget. Annalie, how was your debut for the Opals?
It was a bit of a surreal feeling. I mean, I wish we got the win, but they're a really talented team, Japan, and I think for my first Opals experience to be playing against a team like that, it was pretty special. And I had a really great group of people around me that didn't make me feel nervous. It was so easy to get sucked into that situation of not believing in myself. But I mean, with those girls behind me, you just feel like you can do anything.
Take me through the team, because you arrived back in Australia on Saturday after your incredible WNBA experience, and you said to me at the weekend you could have played on Saturday because you were bouncing off the walls. But how important have the players and the coaches been in getting you ready and comfortable for tonight?
I mean, picture this, I literally just got off the plane. I don't know any of the offenses. I haven't been in camp, and everyone talked me through everything, every step of the way. There wasn't one moment on the court that I didn't know what was going on because of the communication from the players. I mean, I'm surrounded by greatness on the floor. So I had people lifting me up when I didn't know what was going on, or people making me believe in myself. And it's a pretty tough situation to step into. I wish I could have been there for every step of the process, but they just created this amazing culture. It really is a sisterhood, so yeah, it was pretty special.
That is wonderful to hear. How important was it, and how much empowerment were you given tonight to go out and do your thing that we've come to know and love?
Honestly, this is a dream. Like I said at halftime, I've had to pinch myself a few times, and I'll probably go home and have a bit of a happy cry. This is, as a little girl, something that I've always wanted to be. I've wanted to be an Opal, and most of these girls have been my role models for my entire playing career, and even as a junior. I was telling Madge today, I watched her at the, when Bulleen Boomers was a WNBL team. She had her first year at point guard with Bulleen, it's just pretty surreal. I'm rambling a little because I'm still taking it all in, but it was really special. Tonight is a night I won't forget.
ramble away, Annalee. You're an Australian opal now, the first of many games to come for your country, and you already embody and epitomise what it means to be an opal. Congratulations tonight.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching.
Well done, Ellie Maley. Congratulations. We look forward to watching you in a green and gold singlet for a very long time. 11 points, 7 rebounds. Back down memory lane to when Tess Madgen started out at the Boomers in 2012. So Annalee would have been no more than 8 or 9 years of age, Laurie, and it does mean so much to players, particularly. Look, Annalee has grown up in a basketball family. Her dad was an NBL legend. She's grown up around the game, and all she's ever wanted to do was this, and I thought she acquitted herself superbly tonight.
Absolutely. To come in and to play the way she did, but I think it was really, special, the recognition she gave to the people around her and her teammates that helped her do that. And I know Cheryl Chambers, speaking to her early, and all of us are so impressed. She could have easily been released in the WNBA and stayed over in the US for a little while and she just wanted to get on that plane and get back here and be with the Opals and be with this group. So all credit goes to her.
Let's head back courtside. Jenny Screen is with Kayla George.
Hello, Miss George. Obviously, you didn't get the win tonight. You hit that big 3 down the stretch, which I've seen you do a lot of times in the green and gold over the years. You had me on my feet, timeout, didn't get the win, but you guys were oh so close in this one.
Yeah, look, it's been a really great series. We've had a long week at training camp, started off with some fitness testing. So unfortunately, yeah, we didn't get the dub tonight, but lots of lessons to learn from this and takeaways. And we'll start, prepping for the next camp in about a month's time. We'll come back together again and the preparation keeps going.
Obviously, there are a lot of girls overseas, 6 in the WNBA. Tolo's just finished her season in France and was watching tonight. They're coming back into the mix. How do you think it's going to unfold in the next couple of weeks and months when we've got less than 115 days to go to the World Cup?
Yeah, it's certainly really exciting. The 7 girls are away, to bring them back in. It makes us even stronger again. And, the girls that have been here this week, they're pushing for their spot as well. So, collectively, the squad is looking really strong. And, we're looking to be back on that podium come September. So we do have a lot of work to go, but we're really excited and we're raring to go. And we want to work hard to get this done.
We have medalled 5 out of the last 6 World Championships. How important it is to play on home soil and to play in a community like Newcastle. I'm a Novacastro, you're in my hometown, girlfriend, but the crowd was absolutely great tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. I love a small town community, even though Newcastle's not super small. It's like one of the largest cities here in...
it is the largest.
Yeah. But obviously, me coming from Cairns, I like the community vibe. It's lots of people turned out tonight. I think there was over 2,500, which was great. It was really rowdy. So yeah, really great.
It was good to see you guys on home soil. I know you didn't come away with the series win, but I'm very excited to see what you guys are going to do at the World Cup in September. Thanks.
Thanks, Greenie.
Wonderful series, thanks to Kayla George, and well played again tonight. So 3 games decided by 6 points, 1 point, and 2 points tonight. 9 points between these 2 teams across 3 games of basketball. It was a fantastic series. Hope you enjoyed it. Plenty more to come from the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. Japan take the series 2-1. They win tonight 69-67. Back with more. We'll hear from Cheryl Chambers, coach of the Aussies, next.